Now, what's going on the Democratic side? It's a snooze fest, right? Rumor says they have a primary in June, but let's see. Top of the ticket, Ralph Northam, Lieutenant Governor, no opposition. Bottom of the ticket, Mark Herring, Attorney General, no opposition. That leaves the Lieutenant Governor's race. And that leaves the beast who is joining us now, Justin Fairfax, who we predicted 7 months ago would be the Democratic nominee for Lieutenant Governor. And once again, I'm right. As you know, I always am. I never get this stuff wrong. And everybody running around telling me, oh, Eileen Filler-Corn, the delegate from Northern Virginia, she's going to get in the race. And she had all the Democrat people backing her. And she had all the leadership. And she had Saslow and this one and that one and this one and that one. And they're all going to back her. And I go up to Chap Peterson's place where I do the Democratic Roundtable, Ben Tribbett. They're all telling me Filler-Corn is going to get in the race. She's going to win. And I kept telling you she's not getting in. And if she does, she's going to get beat by Justin Fairfax. And once again, I'm right. Filler-Corn deciding not to get in that race because she couldn't beat the guy. That's numero uno. And now there is another candidate in the race, Gene Rossi, former U.S. attorney in Northern Virginia. Really nice guy. Does great radio. But I've got Justin as the 1 to 10 favorite. Now, if you follow horse racing, 1 to 10, that's like Secretariat odds. That's like you bet $2 to win 10 cents. I mean, that's basically it. He's an overwhelming favorite. He's been all over the state. This guy's a beast. I mean, he goes all over the state, and he fires people up, and he's going to be, in my judgment, the Lieutenant Governor nominee, and he is joining us now. Justin, good to have you with us.
Hey, John, thanks so much for having me on your show again.
Hey, Justin, it was a pleasure. Look,
my pleasure.
Once again, I predicted you were going to beat Mark Herring in 2013. I got beat at the wire. Both of us did
right.
by 1%. I doubled down on you this time. Once again, I'm right. No question. Tell me a little about your campaign. In my column the other day, my morning line odds, I called you basically a campaign beast. I mean, I see you everywhere I go.
Which is a good thing, I think.
Beast is a good thing. It means that you're you're everywhere. And but not only that, what I love about your style, Justin, is you're very engaging. You're a great listener, and you fire people up. I mean, you're inspiring the people.
Well, John, I want to thank you so much for that compliment. You know, we have really traveled all around the Commonwealth of Virginia. As you know, I've done over 25,000 miles in the car around the Commonwealth in the last 4 years. We've done over 10,000 of those miles just in the last 7 months. Been honored to earn support for our Lieutenant Governor bid, which the primary, as you know, is June 13th of 2017. We've gotten over 100 elected officials and party leaders from all over the state who have endorsed us from really every region, Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, the Richmond area, Petersburg, Tri-Cities. The mayor of Roanoke, Sherman Lee, just endorsed us a couple weeks ago, so we're now stretching out into southwestern Virginia. And it really has been a unifying, message around, again, economic security and opportunity, upward mobility, and criminal justice reform, which, again, I'm very, very passionate about. As you know, Virginia, unfortunately, leads the country in the school-to-prison pipeline in referring young people for school-based infractions to the criminal justice system. We are number one. That is a category that we should not be number one in. And so I want to make that also a key part of our agenda, because that really affects all of our families and all of our kids. And to believe that, that that's okay and that that's the way things just are, you would have to believe that our kids are, worse behaved than kids in 49 other states and the District of Columbia. And I just don't believe that at all. And so I want us to rethink the way we approach that issue and rethink other things around the criminal justice system and juvenile justice reform, making sure that we are rehabilitating people and not simply punishing and incarcerating them. As you know, I'm a former federal prosecutor. I was in the Major Crimes and Narcotics Unit in Virginia in the Eastern District. And so I know what it's like to keep communities safe, to hold people accountable. But also we have got to be a Commonwealth that focuses on second chances where appropriate. And it gets people re-entered into society much in the same way that we want to give everybody an on-ramp to the economy. We have seen economic growth not as much as we would like. We've ticked up to about 1.4% growth last year, according to a study, the State of the Commonwealth, recently issued by ODU, the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. They have some recipes for how we can, up that growth even further. Governor McAuliffe, I think, has done a great job attracting capital here to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Ralph Northam, too, has joined him. He's done a wonderful job. And so we have got to continue to attract new businesses, to get access to capital for small businesses. Small businesses account for 97% of all businesses in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and employ nearly 46% of our workforce. As I mentioned, my wife and I are small business owners. We bought a dental practice nearly 10 years ago. That has changed everything that's possible for our family. We've been able to employ people to help them provide for their families and to help grow our economy. So we've got to diversify our economy. We've got to grow, attract capital, but that's going to take a positive, can-do attitude. It's going to take us connecting people all throughout the Commonwealth, every region from the New River Valley to Roanoke Valley to Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, Richmond, Southside. We've got to work together cooperatively, and I'm confident that as Lieutenant Governor, if I'm fortunate to be elected to that position, I'll just put just as much energy as we're putting into campaigning into making economic growth and opportunity for all priority.
Justin, the job of Lieutenant Governor, it's a part-time job, pays something like $25,000. You basically hit the gavel. You can't support your family on it, right? How do you make this work?
And so, virtually all of our lieutenant governors have, their day job, essentially. Current Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam, of course, is a pediatric neurologist and a small business owner himself, who has a great medical practice down in Norfolk, Virginia. And so we've had prior lieutenant governors also who have had their day jobs. I, of course, am an attorney at Venable, a law firm, which is a wonderful national firm. I'm primarily in the Tyson's Corner office as a litigator there, and it's a great firm, and they've been tremendously supportive of our entry into public service. But, the lieutenant governor position, as you mentioned, you preside over the Senate. And you break ties in the case of tied votes in the Senate. But you also can do so much more with that position. You sit on a number of commissions and councils all around the Commonwealth of Virginia, including the Council on Virginia's Future, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, where we're looking to, sort of restructure and do some things there that help us, again, to attract great new businesses and additional capital here into the Commonwealth. The Military Advisory Commission, so the interface between our great military, which has a strong presence all throughout Virginia, particularly in Northern Virginia and in Hampton Roads. We know the Norfolk Naval Base is the largest naval base in the world. We have a significant and wonderful military presence, and we've got to respect our veterans, respect the men and women who serve, and also provide them with opportunities. They should not be struggling economically after they have served their country and kept us all safe. They also need to be given the opportunities economically, educationally, so that they can thrive and provide for their families. And so as Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, you can have your hand in so many policy matters to help shape the policies of the Commonwealth, again, around the economy, higher education, K through 12, early childhood, criminal justice reform, climate change, which is significant. You sit on the Governor's Climate Change and Resiliency Commission. We know, those of us, and John, you are down in Hampton Roads often, that there's a modest rain, oftentimes in Norfolk, Portsmouth, other places, the streets will flood. And we've even had school closures as a result of a modest rain. The military has cited this as one of the most significant threats to their operations in Hampton Roads and elsewhere. We have got to be very serious about how we address this. And so I will be intently focused on working with our regional partners to make sure that we are addressing those issues, looking out into the future. I often talk about, John, the future is now. We've got to make those critical investments right now to make sure that in 10, 20, and 30 years, our children and our grandchildren have more opportunities than we have. This is one of the first generations in modern American history that does not believe they will do as well as their parents. And so that is the challenge of our time. We've got to change that. It is the secret sauce of the American dream, where we all want to work hard, be safe, live in a wonderful community, but also understand that because we sacrifice today, because we work hard, our kids and our grandkids, all of our kids and all of our grandkids will have a brighter future. And so we have got to make sure that that dream is real and not just rhetoric. And that's something that I'm focused on as Lieutenant Governor of Virginia.
Justin, let me ask you this point blank. We're with Justin Fairfax, candidate for lieutenant governor on the Democratic side for 2017. Justin,
Yes.
the establishment of the Democratic Party of Virginia worked tirelessly to find an alternative to Justin Fairfax. I mean, we know for a fact that Governor McAuliffe reached out numerous times to people trying to recruit a candidate in order to stop you from being the lieutenant governor nominee. Yet, on the other hand, you've worked tirelessly. You've got a very powerful resume. The way I see it right now, you're the only African American on either ballot. There'll probably be on both ballots 20 candidates, one African American, that's you. Why is the Democratic establishment, why were they so intent on denying Justin Fairfax the lieutenant governor nomination?
Well, John, I got to tell you, I can't really speak for anyone else with regard to, whether it's this election or any other election, but you know how I run in campaigns. You saw it in 2013, and I appreciate the coverage that you provided to that race. I run positively. And also, I know how to come together to make sure that we're moving forward together, as you mentioned, in our primary with Attorney General Mark Herring. We, as you mentioned, narrowly lost that race. We won nearly 49% of the statewide vote, lost by less than 2 votes per precinct statewide. We also were endorsed by the Washington Post in that race. But it was a close race. It was a hard-fought race, but 100% positive. The morning after that primary, which was the primary was on June the 11th, the morning of June the 12th, I stood on the stage with then Senator Mark Herring, with Ralph Northam and Terry McAuliffe, and endorsed the ticket and supported the ticket. I was asked to be the co-chair of the coordinated campaign in 2013. I gladly accepted that same day and traveled thousands of miles around the Commonwealth on behalf of the ticket, totally uncompensated. The very next year, Senator Mark Warner, who is a dear friend for many years, asked me to be co-chair of his Senate reelection campaign, and I gladly accepted, again, that position without any compensation and traveled around the Commonwealth thousands of more miles to support Senator Warner and in his successful reelection. I've been involved positively in Democratic politics for a very long time. My first job out of college, I went to Duke University, as you know. I graduated in 2000. I was Tipper Gore's briefing coordinator on the Gore-Lieberman campaign at the national headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee. I then, once that campaign was over, worked in the Senate for then Senator John Edwards from North Carolina as a legislative aide, and did that for about a year and a half before going away to law school at Columbia in New York. And I have, again, volunteered, worked the staff, have done, everything I can to promote the message of the Democratic Party, which, again, I think centers around creating more opportunities economically, educationally, and opening up our society, making it more inclusive, more welcoming. And so I've done that really my whole life and my whole career. So I will continue to do that. John, as I've told you, people say, well, you run against, such and such and so, and say, I've never run against anybody. And I never will. I will only run for the things that I believe in. In this case, I'm running for lieutenant governor because, again, I want to provide people with the same opportunities that I was fortunate and blessed to be given in my own life. I was raised, as you know, in inner city Washington, D.C., primarily by a wonderful single mother. I have a great dad as well who was involved, but also wonderful maternal grandparents. They put all 4 of my mom's kids through college and 2 of us through law school. I had a sibling who went to Maryland, sibling who went to Syracuse, one who went to Harvard for undergrad and for law school, was on the Harvard Law Review. I went to Duke University. I went to Columbia Law School. I was on the Columbia Law Review. And now we're all getting to have amazing careers and families. That is the story of the American dream. And I think we all have different versions of that same story, and I want that for everybody. Again, regardless of where you live, who your family is, how much money you have, what your last name is, where you're born, or who you love. And so that's what powers me in politics. That's why I can continue to be positive. And I know politics are always swirling around, but we stay very strong in the faith and in the belief that that's the message that people really want to hear. And, when they go to our website, Fairfax4LG, FORLG.com, they'll learn more about that vision, and we'll be rolling out some additional policy issues around our economic security and opportunity agenda. Talking about middle skill certifications in our community colleges. There are 175,000 jobs out there waiting for Virginians who are credentialed to take them. And estimates are that we would inject $1 billion, $1 billion with a B, into the pockets of Virginia's families without raising a dime in taxes. by supporting this workforce training, $54 million in additional revenue to the state as a result, and also, $30+ million in productivity, which is currently being lost to small businesses all throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. By certifying people for these middle skill jobs. We did a $2.2 billion package to invest in that. So we've got to focus on that. That's really where the fight needs to be.
Justin, there's no question you're very enthusiastic for the policies you believe in. And like me, it's all about jobs, and you got to train people for the jobs. Terry McAuliffe has said the jobs are in Virginia. We just don't have the people because they're not properly trained. And so a lot of us are fighting with you in order to do that because, look, jobs are the great unifier. A paycheck has no ideology, okay? It's not Democratic and it's not conservative. If you can feed your family and put gifts under the tree, there's no political philosophy that goes with a paycheck at the end of the week. But look, I asked you the question why the Democratic establishment is not enthusiastic about your candidacy. Look, you go back to the state convention in June, I believe, or whenever it was, the Democratic State Convention, Richmond. You tried to speak. They didn't allow you to speak there. They said you were divisive, which I personally found to be one of the most ludicrous statements I'd ever heard. You're one of the most inclusive guys I've ever met. Look, I'm a conservative. You're a progressive. I love listening to your speeches because they're inspiring. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. But
Thank you.
Let me answer the question that I asked, and I understand you have to thread the needle here with all this stuff with them.
Hey, John, I'll just say, and without interrupting you, I know the party did issue a public formal apology around that, a statement retracting it, and saying some nice things about moving forward. But you feel free to go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt.
You're your own man. I mean, you say what you want, you do what you want, you think what you want. You've made political endorsements of people that you believed were the right people that didn't toe the line with the Democratic Party establishment. Probably one of the biggest high-profile ones was your endorsement of Sheriff McCabe for mayor in Norfolk, and there's been others. And look, that's why I think you have an appeal, because you're going to stand up to the establishment, and you're basically campaigning for lieutenant governor, the way I look at it, on behalf of the people, and you're not going to toe the line of any establishment or anybody if you don't think it's the right thing to do. Look, we're in an environment where people are starving for that. I mean, if you just look at the debacle, the Democratic Party right now, Justin, it's in worse shape than Reconstruction. I'm not going to tell your party what to do. I just look at the numbers. Other than Virginia, November 8th was a complete catastrophe for Democrats almost everywhere. And so I think, they need new leadership, they need new ideas, and they need people that are not necessarily tied to a string. And it appears to me you fit that mantra. That's why you're going to win.
Well, John, I really appreciate that. And here's the thing. I will tell you who has been very excited about this campaign. It is literally the tens of thousands of people that we have reached already just in the past 7 months. As you know, again, back in 2013, we won nearly 70,000 votes, about 69,000 votes in our first ever election across the state. People got really fired up and excited, again, about that message. And I did not, go out and bash anyone and sort of demagogue on anything. The point was, and the point remains, that if you focus, I think, on the families of Virginia, if you focus on individuals who, have a vision, have a dream, want to succeed, want to get ahead, then people will respond, and they will respond dramatically in a positive way because people, again, they're working harder in many cases than they ever have, and they're falling further behind. And that is the disconnect that we have got to make sure that we address, everyone from all sides. And so, again, John, you see the way that I engage, you see the way that I treat people. I believe we also need a renewed spirit in our politics of people being positive, of us getting rid of some of the pettiness, the nastiness, some of the things that people have rebelled against, the things that people really just want done away with in our politics. And so I think that we can have the clouds start to part on so much of the negativity that we've seen in our politics, and I hope that everyone will engage in the same way. The old tricks and the old tools and sort of the old ways of being in politics, and people chalking it up to, oh, well, that's just the way politics always is, and it's a tough business. And we understand that it's a tough business, but at the same time, the tougher business, again, is focusing on those issues that our families really care about and the help that they really need. So,
all right, man, I got to take
for the
off.
folks who, again, would go to our website at fairfax4lg.com, learn more about that vision. I am meeting people, John, as you know, in every possible venue around the Commonwealth. We're going to the faith community. We are going to schools. I was at a middle school in
Justin,
Harrisonburg, Virginia, Skyline Middle School. One of the most inspiring things I've done.
Justin, I got to get out.
Speaking 40 languages from all around the world. It was phenomenal. We are training leaders for the next generation, and we've been doing it together.
Thank you, Justin. I'm out of time. You are definitely this campaign cycle's Energizer Bunny, no question. Thanks for being with us.
John. We'll keep going and going.
Out of
God
time.
Bless you and your family. Happy holidays to you, and Merry Christmas to all of your listeners. And let's do this together as one Virginia.
Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. This is the John Fredericks Show. Justin Fairfax, the campaign Energizer Bunny of all time. I'll be right back.